This is another mini episode of Teach Me to Dad with our two dads, Ben and Chris. We're going to hear from these two on another topic that we're going to do each week about what they did in their families, how this played out, how their faith shapes how they raise their families. And so great insights from these guys. Thanks to Fruit, the sponsor. Check out their app for helping you read the Bible and grow. Link in the description. Over to the Rad Dads. What age did you and would you give your kid a phone?
So back to
their own
me,
phone. Yeah.
My opinion on this has changed. I was thinking 16. I was thinking maybe when my kid was in year 9. Phones are in many ways destructive for kids and how they see themselves. But my vision of that was when I gave them the phone when they were 16, then they were old enough to have an email address and sign up to Insta, TikTok, Snap, whatever they decided, that the phone would be open slather. I think that was my vision. I won't give it to them until they're 16 because when I give it to them, they'll be able to do what they want. And when your kid is 16, they're almost moving on from you, and your opinion matters less to them than the opinion of their kids. So our decision, after many thoughts, was Christmas at the end of year 6. So each of our kids get a phone, and it has to be an iPhone, at the end of year 6 when they finish primary school. This phone does not have Safari. It does not allow them to download apps without telling us. This phone has parent controls, it has time limits, it has Questudo, like a monitoring app. I've got OpenDNS at home, it's got app time limits, it's got a time off at morning and night. So this is, for street cred, an iPhone, what every other kid has.
Yeah.
Okay? This phone just has so many controls on it that, so I get an email every day to tell me how long my kid's been on the phone, what apps they've used, what searches they've done, and things like that. So they can still connect. They can, like, if they're savvy, whatever you do as a parent, they can Google it and get a workaround.
Yeah.
So if your kid is savvy, whatever you're doing, they can work around it. The other thing is that the school your child goes to might require your child to have a laptop in year 7 or even earlier, and they can do everything that you're thinking you're stopping them on their phone, on their laptop. So if it's an Apple one, they can still look at, sign up to whatever you think you're stopping them from not having a phone. So you get them at Christmas, and then you've got 5 weeks before school starts. And so then you train them in how to use the phone. So you are messaging them, connecting with them, showing them what it can do, what it can't do, priming them. You've got that 5-week time to get them where you want them to be before school starts in high school. And in New South Wales schools, they shouldn't have a phone out when they're at school. But every kid would have a phone. And surprisingly, try and talk about it positively. So you will never connect with your kids like you have now on your phone. It's unbelievable. The way that they get independence, but you have more connection with them and are able to contact them, and you see what they're into. And so instead of being scared of it, see it as a positive, but give it to them at an age where you actually have effect.
Yeah.
That actually listen.
Yeah, gotcha.
You think the line of "you're living under my roof, you'll go by my rules" doesn't really cut it when they're 18.
Yeah, gotcha.
17.
So you're
16. I'm saying give it to them when you can actually teach them and they'll listen and mold them into how they use this technology, because like it or not, they will have a phone at some point in their life. I'm sorry.
So you want to train them train them when I've got an influence and can do that, as opposed to hold it all back and let them loose in the candy store at 16 to just go wild.
Yeah.
You're thinking, how can I make them kind of phone wise by the time they're 16?
Yes. And that also, when I think of it, goes for other things like things that they're going to be exposed to. If you keep holding that off and then they move away and go to uni and then the candy store's opened and they just go nuts. So it's training them while you have an influence. Yes. But yeah, I'm looking forward to listening to what Ben says.
That's cool, by the way. I tell you what,
and happy, because as I keep saying, all your kids are different.
Yeah.
And my kids in year 10 and year 8 now, and we haven't had a major phone issue yet.
I'd love you to take that strategy. I'd love a plan. I'd love to see a 6-year plan for a phone from like end of year 6 to 16. What do we do at each point? What point do we give them social media?
Yes.
The restriction, like I would find that fascinating.
So sorry, I should have started by saying they sign a contract on Christmas Day.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It goes through, this is our phone, we have paid for it, we pay for your monthly bill. These are the things, we can take it off you at any point. Whenever we say, can I have your phone, you have to give it to us.
Yeah.
We can read all of your messages, we can chase everything up. Like there's a contract that they sign. And as I said, it becomes the bargaining chip of, give me your phone.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a consequence.
Yes. What do you reckon? Give us your thoughts. What's worked for your family and what you'd want to do, have done, what's been good?
Curtis, can I start by saying each time, can we go to Chris first? Because I just want to keep saying what he said, right?
Yeah.
That was it. For us, the measure was based on their maturity level and do we think that they are ready? So essentially, I remember what ended up happening is in our minds, we were thinking anywhere between 13 to 16 was kind of the age that Cass and I were sort of floating around, right? We're thinking somewhere around that. Now, the age of 13 is actually comparatively to their peers at school quite late. You know, a lot of their friends would be having school phones in some shape or form in primary school.
Yeah.
And so it's a noisy place. And what I mean by a noisy place is lots of other kids have them. Lots of parents are engaging with their kids at a younger age. And so even the age of 13 is quite old. And so by the time our eldest got to 13, we've already been in this land of, you know, should we give him a phone or not? You know, is this too late? And so I really get this. I think we're probably at a similar age, actually, 13 and the end of year 6. It's that 12 to 13-year-old sort of space. So 13 ended up being for Ollie, our eldest. And once you do it for one, it's hard not to do that same age for the others, right? Yeah. So it's like whilst I'm saying to you, we went on the principle of maturity, and what I mean by maturity, it was really the discipline of self-control. And so we were very conscious of what does self-control mean. And I actually asked this question to the kids last night. I said, well, do you remember this? What was it like for you? And Ollie goes, I remember this so well. And do you remember what you did, Dad? And I said, what remind me, what did we do? And he goes, it was leading up to this particular time, and it wasn't intentional that we even had to talk about phones on the cards. But what we would often do on one day of a holiday is they could have a day where we're not going to, because we're quite controlled with screen time, and we just talked about that. So loose day, it's going to be flexible. You can have a day. It's a day off from that. Let's see what you do, right? And on this particular day, Ollie decided to, spend a heap of time outside, and he said, I can actually answer with this, by the way, just sort of mention I've got permission that I can talk to him about this, share this, but he went to the gym, and he did all these other things, right? We had a home sort of gym thing, and he spent I think he watched one movie, and whereas before he'd love computer games, right? And he'd just be into that sort of stuff. And I remember reflecting with Cass, so he's got some self-control here. He's looking at other things and what have you, and we talked it through and we thought, okay, this is probably the time. But we actually explained this is the reason, right? And with that came restrictions. Now, I'm not IT I'm nowhere near as down with the IT stuff as Chris just actually talked through. But I knew some friends that I could really trust, and I actually got them in to help set up this phone for me and then teach me on the different controls. Now, I'm still not an expert on it, but I needed help in that particular space because it's just not my natural way of doing things. And so we got that set up and we had those controls. But the other thing that, and so when the others came to that age, it was for different reasons. But self-control was the big one for us on maturity. That you can avoid the temptation of needing to be on it all the time. We then had our own restrictions, right? No phones in your own room at own time. You can only be on it for a certain amount of time a day, and we do all of those sorts of things. We had the monitoring things where we can make sure that they are doing that. But so we had those controls in place, and we still do to an extent. But then my boys are teenagers, right? And they're getting older. And something that I've been sharing with all of them is my phone. And my phone happens to be a work phone, and I don't have a personal phone. And the reason for that, and as well as explained to the kids, is there is no way that it helps me in my own weaknesses not to go on the phone doing other stupid stuff that I shouldn't be doing because I know somebody else is watching. And it just can't be my own thing because I'm human, I'm sinful, and how can I create a level of self-control for myself? And so I shared that with the kids to say, as soon as you think that you're above it and you've got this, that's the moment that you're going to fail. So as soon as you think, I can take my phone into my room on my own and do this sort of stuff, and I'll be fine because I'm godly and I can do all of this. As soon as you think that, you're gone. And it's really important to make sure that you put controls in place, restrictions in place to protect your own heart, your own mind, and to care for yourself. And so by sharing that, I think that's been helpful to say I've got my own accountability and it stops. I let my wife grab my phone at any time, look at my text messages, look at any traffic that's been going through there because it is more important to have that sort of transparent, accountable space. And so there's been a lot of that in particular so that they can look at that. And so the same thing goes with the kids, that they know that there is the ability and means to do that. But there comes a tension where you want to be able to know that the kids are their own adults and we need to respect that. And so there is a time to let go of that. But as Chris was saying, there is a period of time, like up to 16, so to speak, where you want to do all you can to impart that so they understand that that's helpful.
Yeah. There's similar ideas with both of you on that, which is the idea of you wanting to not just hold them back from the bad thing, but help them figure out how to be capable and able to handle this thing and then be able to use it for good things. Yeah.